Today I'm going to show you a set of facts and coincidences for you to ponder. But for my safety and your safety, I will not be coming to any conclusions, and I highly implore you to do the same. We cool with those ground rules? Yes? Okay. Fact number 1. The hospital where Charlie Kirk was pronounced dead is called Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem, Utah. Fact number 2, as of the recording of this video, the bullet that fatally struck Charlie Kirk has not been identified, and the autopsy carried out under Utah's chief medical examiner, Dr. Deidre Almaro, remember that name, has also not yet been publicly released. Fact 3, this is a controversial fact, but one I believe to be true. Charlie Kirk did not have an exit wound. This next part I don't quite believe, but the surgeon's remarks were that the bullet absolutely should have gone through, but that Charlie's bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like a man of steel. Now, we don't know yet which surgeon made those claims, but here's a list of a few surgeons that I could verify through publicly available records that are affiliated with Timpanogos Regional Hospital. We have Dr. Stephen Nealman, Dr. Robert Patterson, Dr. Lee Trotter, and Dr. Lee Patterson. Now, here comes the coincidences. According to Google Trends, someone, maybe multiple, was searching Timpanogos Regional Hospital from an IP address originating in Israel, enough to cause this spike about a month before he died. That is bizarre, isn't it? A bizarre coincidence, I have to say. But remember, we are not drawing any conclusions. We're only making observations. But wait, there's more.
And so I wondered who the medical examiner was there in Utah. And I looked her up. She's a woman named Deidre Almaro. And she was looked up, but this time not in the District of Columbia, but in Israel, which I thought was very strange. June 30th of 2025. Somebody with an IP address originating in Israel decided they were very interested in Deidre Almaro.
Indeed, an interesting coincidence, finding out that our greatest ally, TM, was not only interested in Timpanogos Regional Hospital, but also very interested in finding out more about Dr. Deidre Almaro, the head medical examiner of the state of Utah. And those were not the only searches that our good friend Baron Coleman found.
Stephen Nealman, July 18th, 2025. This was out of our friends on the other side of the planet over there. Very curious about the surgeons in Utah, you'll find out. Robert Patterson, MD, July 23 and 24. I go to the next one. Lee Trotter, someone with an IP address originating in Israel. Looking up surgeon Lee Trotter, near about that same July 20 time period. Are there other surgeons in the area? Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is. There's a guy named Lee Patterson. So I look up Lee Patterson. Somebody with an IP address originating in Israel. In the week of July 20, that week on either side of July 20, was very interested in all the people who practice surgery at Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem, Utah.
Once again, great work by Baron. A lot of interesting coincidences to just think about, just to ponder, no conclusions. Now, I checked with Google Gemini just to see how it would interpret these data points, and it came back with two different scenarios. The first of which they say is the strongest interpretation, non-organic, targeted activity. Okay, they say that the most probable and logical interpretation, given the nature of the data, is that the search spikes were caused by non-organic activity, likely originating from a small or a very small number of users. Okay, they say it could be for reconnaissance or verification, quote, a small group or even a single individual, potentially someone involved in or aware of the planning of the assassination, was using Google to conduct online reconnaissance or verification of the medical and administrative elements associated with the intended location of the attack or the immediate aftermath. The second is what they're calling a remote interpretation, extraordinary coincidence, highly unlikely. They say that this interpretation relies on an extremely improbable string of coincidences, quote, a separate, unrelated medical event, okay? A prominent individual in Israel, a relative or a close contact, was scheduled to be admitted to or had an existing legal or medical dispute with the exact same specific niche, regional hospital in Utah, the head medical examiner, and or surgeons in the weeks leading up to the assassination. Again, that is not me. That is Google Gemini. And remember, okay, I have to keep reminding people of this. We are not coming to any conclusions, just looking at the possibilities. Speaking of which, I also want to call attention to the dates of these search spikes, all clustered around the month of July 2025. Because do you guys remember what happened back in July? That is right, the TPUSA Student Action Summit, July 11th through 13th, which included a very controversial speech by Tucker Carlson.
And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty.
Yep, Tucker was saying the quiet part out loud there. And also, the conference featured a fiery debate about Israel between Dave Smith and Josh Hammer.
I'm disgusted, frankly, that this man is on stage, but I'll end it at that.
Okay, well, Dave, I want to give you an opportunity, about 4 minutes to respond to that. But also, I do want to, now that we had the opening salvos and the Tomahawk missiles launched, let's respond as you see fit. No, and then bring us to the 12-day war, because let's stay focused on that.
Yeah.
We can.
Well, the thing, Charlie,
but defend yourself,
Sure.
obviously.
Well, the thing is, Charlie, as you may have noticed, and some of you may have seen some of my other debates, every single time I come up here to debate issues, and they come up here to debate me and my character. It's all they have every single time.
So we now know for a fact through the now infamous group text first leaked by Candace Owens that Charlie's Israeli and Zionist donors were not happy with him about platforming Tucker and Dave Smith, to which he lamented, quote, "Just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking about inviting Candace." Ugh. He goes on to say, "Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause." Some are now saying that he was just blowing off some steam. Another reminder, before he died, Charlie himself allegedly expressed that he thought Israel would kill him if he turned against them.
It feels, and I'm using a corporate term here, a bit like a hostile takeover, okay? Charlie builds the company organically on the basis of Charlie and Charlie's honest ideas. Suddenly, that company's got a lot of money, and Charlie's honest ideas are starting to change or maybe add more color. And now he's getting financial threats. He's being called names. He increasingly, he's being told who and what he's allowed to speak to. And he's taking a stance. He's taking a stand privately up to these people. And then it doesn't matter anymore because Charlie's dead. And those very same people who were pressing him are now doing, like, very quickly trying to set in stone that, oh, Charlie, essentially the energy is Charlie died for Israel. He's just one of us. Nobody ask any more questions. That is literally untrue, and we're not going to allow it. Okay?
So yeah, I don't know. We can either believe that there just happened to be people in the state of Israel in July and August who were very interested in a regional hospital in the suburbs of Utah, very interested in who the state's head medical examiner was and all the different surgeons in the area, or maybe, perhaps, there's just one too many coincidences here to not investigate further. Last thing I'll say is, if Charlie's assassination was a professional Mossad hit, not saying it is, but if it was, the proof, quote unquote, shouldn't be so easily apparent that a bunch of Twitter sleuths online could figure it out in 24 hours. Okay, so for those crying, "There's no evidence, where is the evidence?" Let's give the Mossad some credit here, right? They are, by all accounts, one of, if not the most sophisticated spy agency in the entire world. So credit where credit is due. That is, if they did it, which they totally didn't. That is it for me this week. Tell me, what do you think of all of these coincidences? Sound off in the comment section below. Again, a big shout out to Baron Coleman for his great work and research. If you missed part 1, I would highly recommend you go back and watch. The link will be at the end of this video. But first, before you do that, please take a second to like this video, share with as many people as possible, friends, family, whoever. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. It really helps us out in the algorithm. As always, I appreciate your time, and I will see you in the next one.
And it actually reminds me of my favorite story ever. So it's about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I could just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him?